Hello, everybody at home. This is Nate with Let's Talk Jaws Live. Here we are, the setting of Martha's Vineyard at the Martha's Vineyard Museum on the break of the 50th anniversary of Jaws. And I have for us today a very special guest by the name of Greg Cole. Greg, thank you very much for joining us.
All right.
And
Glad to be here.
I have a couple questions for you, Greg. Before we even get into the make of the movie and these things, can you give us a little bit of background on yourself growing up and say into your early
Sure. Well, I grew up in Falmouth, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. And as all of you know, probably, the movie was filmed on Martha's Vineyard, which is a short 7-mile stretch on one of the island queens and one of the ferry boats. And so I grew up there, went to high school, and went on to college at the University of Pennsylvania, and also went to Georgetown Law School. But while I'm paying my way through Georgetown Law, I'm parking cars in Woods Hole, Massachusetts, the jumping off point for the cars and the trucks and the people to get over to Martha's Vineyard. And this big blue van pulls in. The Universal Studios written on the side. So I walked up. I'd done some acting in high school and college. I said to the driver, why is Universal going over to Martha's Vineyard? The driver looked at me and says, I don't know, they're making some movie about a fish. Well, I figured that out, what he was referring to. Bought the book, that Peter Benchley's book, read it, and 2 days later, I took the day off and took the ferry boat over to Martha's Vineyard. So I read for 3 different parts, and Sherry Rhodes was the casting director, a lovely lady. And the last one I read for was the Coast Guard sonar operator. And having just gotten out of the Navy 2 tours in Vietnam, I knew all the jargon. And so it turned out to be what I said in the movie is what I said down in the audition. Jesus Christ, spin, shark 350, all ahead, full, left full rudder. And Spielberg happened to be walking by, and he said, hey, I like that, take him to wardrobe. So it was a great start with Steven Spielberg, who was an unknown basically at that time. Who knew where this movie was going to go? It turned out to be a $100 million blockbuster, this iconic movie. So anyway, I got the part, and anyway, I was on location for 3 weeks. And a lot of us were staying at the Harborview Hotel, I remember that. And Dreyfuss was there, among other notables. And so 3 weeks, weather didn't cooperate. And so a lot of us were hanging around on the beach where the canteen was, where the food canteen was. And we watched Roy Scheider do push-ups all day long, getting his tan worked on. And let's see, and who knew where Robert Shaw was? We assumed he was in his trailer having a couple of adult beverages. And so finally the weather cleared and we did my part, and it was about an hour into the movie, and I sight what appeared to be the shark. And as I said, it was Jesus Christ, Fin Shark 350. And the boat turned. I had said, let's head over there to where these actually turned out to be the 2 little boys with a fake fin, the Searle brothers, and we're going to see them later this week. So anyway, we're pulling them out of the water. In the next scene, all the boats are gathering where the 2 fins were. Pull them out of the water, put them in the boats, and that was it for me. That was history in the making for me. With Spielberg and all these other great actors, Dreyfuss. And let me just mention, Dreyfuss wrote in my book, the Jaws book. I got his autograph, I got Spielberg's autograph, I got Peter Benchley's and some others. And Dreyfuss writes, typical Dreyfuss now, as I understand who he is. He said, Greg, I told it to Gable, that is Clark Gable, and I'm telling it to you. Get out of the business, your ears are too big. So a classic line. And he's been classic lines ever since. Anyway, we just had a photograph with him. I did, and anyway, it was this event here at the museum. So, what
Well,
else?
I apologize. I did not mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no,
Were there any other intended scenes or motions or lines while you were on set that maybe changed or shifted as they were shooting the movie that you can remember at all?
none for me, and I'm trying to remember for the other actors, Dreyfus and
Shaw and Scheider.
the actor we just saw, Jeffrey Kramer.
Huh.
He's a police deputy chief,
Mhm.
and everything came together in one shot.
Wow.
For that, and there was no double, or no second or third or fourth takes. Like I suspect there were for a number of people, but I knew the language. I sounded authentic, I think, and it's just a great way to meet these people and spend time with them. One of the things I do want to mention is this week, and tomorrow is the anniversary.
Yes.
50th anniversary
50th
of the
anniversary.
release. I'm so glad that the folks who are behind the scenes, the carpenters, the boatsmen, the photographers, have a chance to reunite and get some credit, or at least they're going to be out there. People are going to be responding to them in a way they didn't know who they were.
They were
And I think that's going
anonymous,
to be a
yes.
great tribute to this weekend.
Really do.
Spending time with those folks who really made the movie.
So it's really interesting. So you literally got the part through happenstance, yet you brought your own wisdom and what you knew with your background,
Yeah.
your training in to solidify your definite part in line in the movie. And it's a line that we all know. It's a line
Yeah.
a lot of us
Yeah.
repeat. Where did things take you after Jaws?
Well, Spielberg wrote my book, Greg, what do you say? Something to the effect, you're welcome to join us in Los Angeles, but beware of the sharks. So I decided, I was at law school, Georgetown Law, and I'm thinking, Georgetown Law or taking a chance and going to LA and waiting on table and maybe someone recognizing me or thinking I should go into acting in another movie. So I opted to stay in Washington, D.C., and finished up Georgetown Law, and then went to work for the Congress. I worked for the House Appropriations Committee, and for like 5 years, and that's when Washington worked properly. My boss always said, he was a senior Republican, relatively liberal, he said, every time we go into a conference with the House and the Senate to match up the two bills and come out with a final version, he stood up in front of the senators, the senior senators from the committee and on his side of the House, and he said, gentlemen, government is the art of compromise. So let's get down to business and work some of our difficulties out. Well, I don't know when we're going to see that again.
All right.
I'm getting a little political, but I hope everyone understands where I came from and what I'm seeing now in Washington.
That's quite all right. So my final question is now, so here we are, and really things have really come full circle. I think, for yourself, for everyone that we've seen around here today. So what brings you back into the Jaws fold? What is the attraction? And what brought you back to this spot? Now here we are, 50 years later, 2025.
Yeah. It was a part of my life, a big part in many respects. I'll treasure the book that I have, meeting Dreyfus today, having a photograph with him that may go into a popular magazine soon. So it really has been a big part of my life.
That's incredible, and that is something that's so cherished, and something that so little of us will ever have that experience. So for you to have that really kind of sets that out there.
Yep. No, it was a chance of a lifetime to be in that particular movie.
It really was unbelievable.
I think it's ironic.
What was significant, I think, in the fact that I was pulling my mother's pocketbook out of off the board was how doing that in the Jaws movie 23 years later, pulling kids out has in fact more than remunerated the money that we may have lost in attempting to do the film in Hollywood, a film.
So parallels, but then also kind of brings closure to that situation in a sense.
Yeah,
Wow,
it's really been a big part of my life. I mean, who hasn't seen the movie?
this is true. Not too many people I know.
I've seen people meeting people here. Oh yeah, I've seen it 200 times, and I hear that all the time on this outing. And we'll be here for the next 5 days. I'm sure I'll hear it many times over.
I guarantee you will. I know myself alone. I'm one of those people. This has been a incredible experience for myself. Meeting everyone here, meeting yourself, meeting the people that we had on the panel today, and also for me, it's been a personal thing. And my personal connection as well is half the people in that audience are people that I've been talking to for the last 8-9 years. I've never met face to face in person. We had people in there from the UK, from Canada, South America, and it just so for me, it just So that personal connection experience and the people, you being one of those people included today, it's just it really puts me beyond my own belief that I would ever have a chance to do this.
Well, we're still getting, not by the hour, but at least a numerous number a day, people who are going through the Facebook that we have up and running, saying, send me a photo. I'll pay $35. Send me one. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
The number of people, they all talk about how many times I've seen the movie and their replies.
And I think those people have always been there, but social media, you have access to that, and so now you're privy to the fact that these people are out there and exist to this day, and I think that's one of the big things about social media. One of the good things, I think. So.
Yeah. Did you ever run into a Ross Williams? He does what's his series called? Ross.
Daily Jaws. I know. I know Ross very well.
Yes.
We actually
he interviewed me for 30 minutes on that day, which is.
Talk back and forth with him. He's a wonderful individual from the UK.
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know. There's a very big following in the UK.
Yeah.
Huge following in the UK.
Yeah, I'm seeing that almost on a daily basis. So it's been a good run.
It's been a wonderful run, and I really would like to thank you for your time and sitting down and giving us the interview. It's been a lot of fun, and it's going to continue to be fun.
Okay.
And that's just it. So thank you very much. You guys at home, I want to thank you for checking in and make sure that you hop on and try and search Greg out on social media. Look him up. I'm sure there'll be perhaps some availability. Maybe at some point, maybe some whether it be pictures, signatures, anything.
Yeah.
So look down those avenues that you normally do, and we'll see what happens. So thank you very much, guys. Take care.